guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I look barefaced today, and that is because we are going to be doing a eye tutorial slash review, well, mini review on the new Naked Cherry palette. I also feel like this whole color scheme, like pinks and like cherry colors and these lighter shades, have been really in right now. I don't know what it is, but I feel like everybody's been really into pinks. So I was like, this is going to be the perfect little situation for today's video. And I'm ready to do a whole look for you guys. Okay, so we are going to start off with this eye. So I'm first gonna start off with my Urban Decay Shadow Potion. I'm just going to be applying this all over my lid. It's crazy because I was never a firm believer of eyeshadow primer. Where's my little brush? I just felt like I could use concealer or just anything else to apply it. I'm gonna be taking my Morphe 173 brush. And I was like, you know what? Let me just try it out. And I tried it and I feel like it changed everything. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I do not cut my crease anymore. Like I don't go in and like carve it out with concealer anymore. And that's because ever since I found this primer, it's helped my shadows so much actually stay in place. So whenever I wasn't cutting my crease with concealer and I was just kind of carving it out with just the shadow, it would separate up here. And I was like, this is why I cut my crease with concealer. But once I went ahead and started to use this Urban Decay Shadow Primer, it did not do that at all. It stayed perfectly in place. And it also makes my shadows extremely pigmented. So now we're gonna go in with a beautiful palette. It looks like this. It is so stunning. And it does come with this brush, which I never really honestly use these brushes, but I may try this one today. And we are gonna start off with this shade right here called Juicy. It is a nice matte shade, and we are going to place that right onto our crease. But we're not gonna place it like just on like directly where the crease is. We kind of want to take it up a little bit higher because we do want to give this look a lot of intensity. I just love it. I feel like if it wasn't for the Urban Decay primer, the color wouldn't look as authentic to pan on my skin complexion, because I feel like sometimes on my skin complexion, the colors, like the eyeshadows, don't pick up the way that they look in the pan. So I was really struggling for that for a while, but I do have to say that using a really good eyeshadow primer makes a big difference. You can see I just took that back and forth windshield wiper like motions, and whenever I do windshield wiper like motions, it's because I'm blowing up the look. That's what really windshield wiper motions on my eyes does to me. I'm gonna be taking this nice Morphe M506 brush. This is one of my favorites. It's a small like blender, but it's really good for packing in like little tight areas. So now we're gonna be going in with the shade called Bling right here. It's this very nice like raspberry color almost. Oh my God, this makes me crave like fruits right now, cherries and raspberries. Could really go for that. These do have a little bit of fallout, but it's not as dramatic or drastic as some other palettes. So let's just go ahead and pack that. This color, we are just going to directly pack it onto our crease, like right in the crease, because doing this step really adds a lot of depth into your eye socket, especially if your like lids kind of fold over. I was looking back at footage of my Colourpop video, and I was looking at my makeup, and I was like, wow, it looks like my lids actually, you know, aren't folding as intensely, because the eyeshadow really gives it the illusion that there's a lot of depth in the socket. And you don't want to take it all the way out here. You kind of want to diffuse out the littlest last bit of that shadow out there, because if you put too much, it's going to look like you just have too much shadow going on there, and you kind of really want to have a nice diffused effect. The shadows blend out very nicely. I'm very impressed. I have to say that I feel like Urban Decay had a moment where they were kind of like forgotten about, but I feel like now they've been coming out with really cool stuff. They've been more adventurous, more unique with how they come out with palettes. I feel like this cherry palette is super nice. They came out with that heat palette. I don't know, I just feel like they really have been stepping up their game to create better concepts so that more people are attracted again. And I'm really digging it. Now we're gonna go ahead and go in with the shade Devilish, which is this one right next to Bing. I think I said Bling before. It's way darker, but we're just going to be using that color on this outer edge. And you guys will later see why I'm just kind of dipping that into this look, because we are going to add some serious depth in the ends of these sockets. And I'm just gonna leave it like that for now because we're gonna go back in and kind of blend everything together. So today we're gonna be taking the color Turn On right here. We're gonna be applying that on our lid. And I did use this color before over the weekend, and I really like how it performed. It has a very nice pigment. As you can see, it's showing up very well. And I'm just gonna take this, go over where my crease actually folds because that's us kind of cutting the crease out. And we're just gonna take this higher. Kind of passing the pupil is where we're gonna stop with that shadow. And you can see going over helps cut the crease, but still give it that really nice, like natural effect. When I say natural, like not like you're like using concealer and all that extra. And I'm telling you, using shadow primer makes a difference and helps it not separate, or helps the shadow not look so like ugly. Okay, so you can see we have that right there. That's with no MAC Fix Plus at all. So you can see that these shimmers have some really good pigmentation. That's always a plus. That's what we always look for, especially nowadays. Like I feel like nowadays everybody's so harsh on makeup because we know what good makeup feels like, and we can go on YouTube and watch videos and people can tell us if it's good or not. But I do feel like this is really good quality for a shimmer. But I do have to say that over the weekend, I did go ahead and apply a little bit of MAC Fix Plus because I wanted to see if it could take it to the next level. Now, it definitely does give it a more like duochrome, like super foiled shadow look. I know with some shadows, it kind of tends to make them get ruined after you apply too much MAC Fix Plus, or even if you apply MAC Fix Plus, but with these, you don't have that issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and take just a little tiny bit of my MAC Fix Plus, and I'm gonna go back in with the shade Turn On and see what I can do to make it really intense. And I like this color because it's like, in the pan, it kind of looks like it's just like a champagne-y color. But once you take it in, it's definitely kind of, it has like those reflexes of pink. And then I'm just gonna top it off with a little bit of the shade Bang Bang, which is a more true to pink. And I just kind of wanna give it a little bit more dimension. So we're just gonna take that all throughout. I don't know if I mentioned, I'm using the MAC 242. This is my holy grail brush for packing on lid color. It just does it so beautifully, and it just gives it the most magical touch. Okay, so now I'm gonna be taking this Morphe M169. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna actually use the Naked Cherry brush. So I'm gonna be using this one right here that I said that was good for packing on color. And what I'm gonna use that for is, I'm gonna be first going in with the first shade that we used on directly on the crease, which is called Bing, right there. And we're gonna use that to start to round out this effect and kind of close it in. Just gonna apply that on this outer edge. And I like this. I feel like it's doing a good job of really packing on the color and keeping most of it on there. And then we're gonna be taking the other shade that we used to make it more intense, which is called Devilish, right there. And we're also gonna be using the same brush. It doesn't matter that we have residue of Bing on there because we kind of wanna blend those two colors in together and tie it in, because we did use both colors on our crease. So we still wanna keep that color scheme going on right there. I'm gonna take the other side and blend it a little bit. Okay, this is something that I like. Yes. Okay, so you can see how that edge has those darker colors. Don't worry about this part being kind of disconnected color-wise because we're gonna go back in and blend everything together. But I just kind of want to intensify that outer edge and wrap it in with these colors right here. And then we can kind of, with whatever's left of what we applied right here, we can kind of take it in and just kind of apply it on that outer edge. Just kind of like going in circular motions because that really helps diffuse any harshness that there may be. It's always good to take the brushes that you originally used to create each step because you can go back in and kind of really use that little extra shadow to blend things out. Then I'm gonna kind of diffuse these two colors together so there's not like a harsh, just straight line down the middle. So that really kind of gives it a nice full effect. Okay, so now I have finished pretty much everything, but I do want to do some little final things to the eyes, which is why we are back on camera before I give you guys my final thoughts on the Naked Urban Decay Cherry palette. First things first, I'm gonna be going in with this color Hot Spot. This is like the perfect color to use as a brow bone highlight. It's a nice creamy matte. It's like a cream white, but I feel like it's perfect for that. It's also perfect if you want to lay that on top of like concealer, if you did like a very cut out crease. So I'm glad that they incorporated that in here. So we're going to just be taking a little brush and going in with that shade Hot Spot and applying that right on our brow bone. I feel like using a cream matte color on the brow bone is honestly one of the best things ever, and it just looks so good. And you can either leave the eye like this and just kind of keep it more wearable if you want this to be like more of a daytime look, or if you kind of want to give it a little bit more boom, you can go in with one of the colors that you used on the crease to intensify the lower lash line. So that's what I'm going to be doing today because I feel like it'll really like wrap up the entire eye. So we're going to be taking the lighter of the two, Bang, which is this one right here, and we are just going to be applying that right on our lower lash line. But I'm not going to be taking it all the way out. I'm just going to be taking it on this outer edge. I just feel like this technique does a really good job of making my eyes kind of look bigger. It like really opens up the eye, so that's why I like to do it. And then I'm gonna be taking just any little small brush. This is the Kylie brush from her holiday collection, I think like 2 years ago. And I'm going to be going back in with the shade Turn On that we used on our lid. And I'm gonna be applying it right onto our inner tear duct. And I'm also going to be taking the shade Hot Spot because it's like that nice creamy shade. It's a matte, but still I feel like it's kind of gonna like make that Turn On pop a little bit. Since we use that color on the lid, we don't want it to kind of like get lost in translation. Okay, so this is the completed look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed watching me do this eye tutorial. I really love how this came out. This is the look that I was wearing this past weekend. Like I mentioned, I did 2 different looks, but it was pretty much similar. It was just kind of like tweaking a few of the shadows. But I have to say that I've quickly become obsessed with this like color situation. And I honestly can see myself using this palette a lot this month. As you can see, you have your darker shades right here. So if I wanted to create something really festive and fun for the fall time, like the second half of the fall time, and also for like Thanksgiving and stuff, I feel like this has the appropriate colors to create that. You have some really good warmth in here. You have this really beautiful brown over here that would be great for a nice Thanksgiving Day look. And I just feel like the mattes really blended out so beautifully and it just looks fantastic. Also, the shimmers are very nice, and I like the fact that they were able to have a lot of pigmentation by themselves, but then they were also able to work really well with MAC Fix Plus if needed. Like I mentioned, some shadows work terrible with MAC Fix Plus, and like you can just see them like separate and stuff, but these work really well and they intensify so beautifully that I'm just like, yes. And I'm also gonna be including swatches so you guys can see how these colors look on my skin complexion. Not so much for how they perform, because you can't really tell by a swatch if it's gonna be pigmented or not. Somebody can go ahead and swipe 5 times and make it look so perfect. But overall, I think for me, this is definitely worth a buy. This palette does range for $49. Once you add tax and everything, it's going to be like $52. But what you can go ahead and do is there's always coupons at Ulta, 20% off. I also know Sephora's having their VIB and Beauty Insider sales right now these next few weekends, so you can go ahead and get the discount there if you're interested in buying this palette. If you're able to buy it not for full price and using a discount code with either Ulta or Sephora, then I would definitely do that, because I feel like you can save yourself the money and not have to pay the full price of the palette. But overall, I think that this palette is definitely worth your coins. I'm so happy that I purchased it. When I first purchased it, it was mainly for me to show you guys how to create a look, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to love it. I don't know if it was worth that money. But once I started using it over the weekend on myself, just on the days where I was wearing makeup and even the day that I filmed the Colourpop tutorial, I was like, wow, this is looking so phenomenal, and I just need this in my life. I also want to quickly touch on the brush since I did use it today. I actually really like the quality of this brush. This side is very nice and soft, and I just feel like it does a really good job of blending. You guys saw how I blended out that outer edge, and I feel like it blended out very nicely. And then this side, like I mentioned, I like to use these type of little brushes to pack on color on the outer edges, and I think it did a fantastic job. So I definitely see myself reaching for these little guys when I use this palette. That all goes into consideration when you are purchasing this palette, because you get the shadows, you get all these shadows, and then you get a good quality brush. So I feel like the price is pretty reasonable for what you are getting in this palette. So I'm really excited about this palette, and I really hope that you guys do go out and purchase it if you kind of were like a little bit hesitant and maybe were like, I'm waiting for a review to see if I should purchase it or not, or how it performs on some of these lids. I'm telling you right now, it's definitely a good buy, especially if you do like those type of like pinky tones and you like this type of color scheme, then definitely buy. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video and found it useful. In case you guys are kind of stuck and perhaps already purchased the cherry palette and don't know what looks to create, I hope that my look was able to give you some inspiration for what you can create with your cherry palette. If you did enjoy watching this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It lets me know to continue doing these types of videos. They're so much fun for me. I love educating you guys on how to do certain eyeshadow looks, and I want to continue doing them. So if you want to see more of those, then thumbs it up. Also, please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. I would love for you to become a member family here on YouTube, because I wouldn't want you guys to miss my fun videos for the world. And also don't forget to hit that notification bell, because I wouldn't want you guys to miss any of my newest videos as soon as I upload them. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a great day, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon for a brand new video. Bye guys.